Haven't got the chance to record for a few days, or a little bit more than that. And then I realized that I made a commitment that I somehow gonna record 200 episodes, and today I will actually gonna speak about something very personal and something a little bit more interesting. So it's almost been 2.5 years since I left Google. I left Google in end 2014, and then 2.5 years on. Actually, the most frequently asked question is, why did you leave? I mean, you're a bloody idiot for leaving a company like Google. And I think it's time that I kind of speak about that. And I think before I speak about why I left Google, I think it's really important to go back in time to understand the thinking and what happened in my life. In 2005, 2004, 2005, I have now left university. I have worked for MAS for 1 year, hated the job, hated the company, left, and then I was at IBM. In 2004 December or 2005 December, somewhere in December 24th, if I'm not mistaken, just before Christmas, a worldwide big announcement came from IBM. The division that we were part of, which is called the IBM PCD division, or Personal Computing Division, had been sold to the Chinese PC maker at that time, the third biggest, Lenovo. And as part of that agreement, I think 20,000 employees moved. I myself included, and two of my other colleagues were overnight became from IBM employees to Lenovo employees. Now, we were young, we were more ways than one, maybe naive, and we were very upset. Of course, nobody consulted that, nobody asked us. We never approved it, we never wanted it. We loved IBM, American tech giant, but then suddenly you are a PC company, minus all the glamour and the glory of IBM's technology. We are just a typical PC maker, and it was something hard to spill. And I was the Sri Lanka most senior person. Weirdly, few months on, we were reported to Singapore, and then we got the notification that they actually have decided to shut Sri Lanka operations down. I was 25 or 26 at that time, and I had to speak to my team and communicate to them that I have to now move to Bangladesh, and the two of them no longer have jobs in the company. To this date, that remains as one of the most difficult conversations I ever had in my life, and I think the scars of that conversation I still carry as a burden in my mind. I had to work with them and get them out, and then I packed up stuff and moved to India, Bangalore, and started working for Lenovo India. And because the India region somehow wanted to retain Sri Lanka as part of their territory, even though Singapore and globally didn't choose not to have an office. And at that moment, it was a bitter spill, and I think there were a couple of lessons I learned there. Never love the company you work for unless you own it. Never and don't get me wrong, I think people mistake what I mean by that. What I mean by that is, love what you do, but don't fall in love with the company that you're doing it with. So I've been into channel management, sales management, territory management at that time, and I loved everything about it. I loved working with people. I loved selling, business development work, channel management work, relationships, and all of that type of thing I have to do as a job. But I decided that it wasn't for me, and then I started looking for jobs, and to cut a long story short, I was very fortunate that I've had another job coming through with a company called Cisco Systems, and I think that's somewhere there. To fast forward Google, when I was interviewed, one of the key things I communicated, I had 7 interviews with 7 different people, and multiple different things that happen. That is definitely probably another recording, and we'll cover about interview process and etc. When the country manager of Singapore asked me why do I want to join Google, my answer was, I never said I wanted to join Google. And I didn't mean it in an arrogant or cocky way. I know that it would have come out like that. What I meant was, the job description that was presented itself was such a phenomenally strong proposition enough for me. I felt that I was meant to do that role. And I would have taken up the job even if it was not with Google. ABC company, which is fine because I just wanted to do that role. And don't get me wrong, it was such a benefit. It's such an incredible opportunity to work with a powerhouse brand like Google. So, but my honest opinion and my sincere answer was that I love the entrepreneurial wanting and having to figure out what the hell you're going to do in the market, all of that in this particular role. So that's the basis of actually the starting point of my opportunity to join Google. I joined Google, did 2.5 years with that. Probably the best job I have ever done. Probably after what I'm doing right now, for sure. Second, probably the best job I did, and loved every minute of it. Learned so much, met a lot of people, got a great opportunity to represent the country, defend the country. Again, another video series probably on that. And I think a lot of people gave me the platform and opportunity to speak and listen about what I have to say. However, people who have worked in tech companies, there's a joke that every quarter is more or less like a year inside the company. And for me, 2.5 years is primarily, like, if you calculate on that basis, almost 10 years. Within those 10 years, there were lots of changes, organizational changes, hierarchy changes, team changes, etc. that happened. And also, the reality of the fact is, I was probably a much more senior person in that company than the type of age group and the personality that was required as the market grew, as the market matured. So Sri Lanka market, from the time I joined to 2.5 years, it kind of got very mature. It just became that much more concrete, and I think the skill set and the capability and the things they needed were different. Along came management changes. I didn't know it at that time, but I think now I could say that some of my people who were managers and remained as my super managers moved out of, obviously were planning to move out of Google, and I think it just came to a point where I pretty much had few options. I could leave Google, which is the first option. Second option was try to apply for other opportunities in Google and see whether I will be a suitable candidate. Now, by this time, I have come back to Sri Lanka. My wife was on leave for her PhD. She actually had to go back to university. My son started schooling. And I think there were just a bit too many anchors in my life to move to another country and try to pursue another job. So the answer became almost like a very straightforward that I need to leave Google. I wish that I had more time, for sure, but I'm really glad that I left at the time I did. I wouldn't have started what I'm doing right now had I not, and I am actually much more exposed, and I learned so much more about the digital sphere coming out of it. But however, there'll always be a special spot in my heart for Google, and it's been awesome now. So that's my episode 7. As always, you guys know you can write to me about anything, about my life and career and etc. What I'm trying to do is to give you guys different perspective, a different point of view with all of my recordings, and look forward to hearing from you in my next and the following next episodes. I'll start talking a little bit more about some of the other stuff as well. So usually I don't try to add on something after I record, and I don't know how many of you know this. I actually record on the fly. I don't have a script in front of me. I don't have anything in front of me. I just speak from the points I have made up in my mind. I think that's easily the best way to do it, and I think for some reason I chose to do as a video series versus actually a podcast. This technically should be a podcast, but anyway, luckily for me I get to choose. Just a couple of things I wanted to add. So when I did join Google, we actually did have something like a handshake and said like we will somehow plan to set up an office in Sri Lanka. 2.5 years on, I think things have changed with the management change and new people flying in from USA to now be based in Singapore. Things have changed a lot, and I think as a result, it was also evident that that particular scenario is unlikely to happen, and there was a new region that was created called South Asian Frontiers. I think that was again a very different type of a arrangement. We were combined with very large entities, Pakistan and Bangladesh, which are significantly large domestic markets in comparison to Sri Lanka. And I think it was a bit of a difficult fight to justify being in Colombo and talking about it. I would still hope and pray one day that a brand like Google or even Facebook will open offices in Sri Lanka. I hope that the government will push for that, because I think those are unbelievably amazing kind of opportunities for Sri Lankans, as well as just the sheer know-how and just how they work really can inspire young people to do something incredible. I really hope it will happen. That's another reason actually, when it was becoming quite obvious that there is not going to be anything concrete for anytime soon, and they're not going to open offices in the country. So I think those are also reasons. I thought I'll just add that because I know that I forgot to mention that when my first recording.